The Aftermath, every Sunday morning from 6 o'clock on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Well, the NRL community, this man's the king of it. James Sullivan, a very good morning.
Hello, Marty. Hello, David. Morning, listeners. I tell you what a weekend it's been, hasn't it been? You know, this Magic Round gets better every year. The games have been close. I tell you what, the biggest winning margin's been 8 points. Oh, it's been sprinkle dust Magic. The old Suncorp Field won't be feeling like Magic by about 8 o'clock tonight, though.
Does a big job, doesn't it? But let's start off with the controversial one. Knights and Titans overruled from the bunker. Tell us about this.
Yeah, it wasn't overruled. He's not happy. Desi Hasler. Geez, they've had a tough 5 weeks, haven't they? 5, 6. So I think their biggest margin's been 4 points in defeat. They've only picked up the one win, as you know. They had that unlucky golden point. But this Newcastle side, since Kalen Ponga, when he got injured, boys, they were 3 from 10 without him. And now they've worked that out to be, 7 from 13. So, 14 actually, because they've won 4 in a row, this Newcastle side. Titans aren't far away, as we know, but controversy, Des Hasler, he looks a bit angry at the best of times. He was very angry in the post-match conference, trust me.
Any fines coming his way out of some of the comments, you think, Sul, or will we get through scot-free?
Oh, I think he uses his words wisely, does Des. And most of the time, Dave, he's honest. That's the bottom line. You can't get fined if you're honest.
Well, that's up for debate. I've seen some pretty honest assessments on some umpiring over the years that have gone home with some pretty decent checks to pay to the bureaucracy. Anyway, let's continue to move through some of these games. The Sharkies too good for the Roosters, 38-30. This was a really, really high-octane game. There was lots of tries, and in the end, it was the Sharkies with Thomas Hazelton getting over in the 77th minute, putting the icing on the cake.
Big Tommy, the bald-headed Tommy Hazelton, sealed the deal in the 77th. Now, this is the match of the round. High-octane is the perfect word to use, Shorty, because at 24-18 at half-time, these two sides, we all know Cronulla's defence has been their forte, and obviously the Roosters scoring. But, they scored. The Roosters scored right on half-time. I was shaking my head watching this first half. I'm going, what is going on here? And they tightened up a little bit in the second half, and Roosters had their opportunities. This Sharks now, what is that, 7 in a row? And I think they're now starting to knock a few of the knockers because, I'm probably one in particular as well. We thought they beat the sides down below them. At the moment, last week, 2 pretty fair scalps in the Storm and the Roosters. So, yeah, moving forward, they're playing good football. Nico Hines came back in last night, and, the combination with young Atkinson, that'll flourish. I really, really like that part of their game, and they've got a workman-like forward pack. So, yeah, good win, big win.
Cowboys got it done against the Rabbitohs, 28-22 off the back of a brace of tries for Braden Burns.
Braden Burns, what a story this is. Braden Burns was at the Rabbitohs a month ago because they've got a relationship with the Townsville Blackhawks now, the Rabbitohs. Braden Burns goes up to Townsville, plays for the Blackhawks last week in the Queensland Cup, scores 2 tries. Not his first NRL game in Cowboys colours. Yeah, who's it up against? And what's he do? Scores 2 tries and buries his old teammates. They tried hard, the Rabbitohs. They're just missing some key personnel. Interesting enough, Damien Cook, he scored a try in the 75th minute, which opened it up, made it a very exciting last 5 minutes. But he ended up playing at halfback most of the second half. The young fella at the 7, he wasn't up to it last night. He ended up getting sent to the sin bin. Tiapa at the back end of the game. But, they're really missing their halves. As we know, Lachlan Ilias with the broken leg, and then Hawkins came in. He's got injured as well. It's a problem when you got Damien Cook, a state of origin number 9 playing at 7.
Yeah, the wheels are off. It's an absolute blackout, to be fair. They're just going, and it's not shaping up as getting better anytime soon, but we'll look forward to 2025, I think, us Rabbits fans. But right now, holding the entire table up there at the bottom, sitting in 17th, if you don't mind. It's a long way from the top, it must be said. So a couple of games to look forward to today. The Magic Round continues on. 3 games. First gets underway 10 minutes to 12 local time here today. New Zealand, $4.90. Penrith, $1.18. It's a fat line, and the support's been there for the Warriors with a plus into $1.80 now. Total point sits at 40.5. Is the market right here? Do we team up with the Panthers to win and win well?
Yeah, I think so. The big thing, obviously, neither side have got their sevens. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck and... Oh, no, sorry. The Tuivasa-Sheck's out as well, but Sean Johnson and no Nathan Cleary, of course, and then Tohu Harris ruled out as well, for the Warriors. So, yeah, I think it does. I think the Panthers, we've been waiting. I'm waiting for them to explode. They're just doing what they've got to do at the moment. I know Cleary's not there, but I think they will today. I'm expecting them to roll over the Warriors who... Wow, looking at 6 in a row, aren't they? Losses, at the moment. It's very, very disappointing for them. But the Panthers, I think, will be too strong. The next game, the Storm looking to bounce back, of course, over the Parramatta Eels. I didn't mind what I saw from the Eels last week. They got beat, but they blooded a few young blokes. So still no Jerome Hughes for the Storm. And, of course, Gutherson and Moses still out. Yeah, Storm for me. But you never know with the Storm and the Eels. It's those sort of games. It's one game that I think Brad Arthur, the Parramatta coach, really tries to lift his side up against. Of course, Brad was a former coach at the Storm. So, yeah, there's one of those ones. And the last one, boys, the Dolphins. They'll just cruise home, won't they? They're excited. And they welcome back to Hammer today. Trey Fuller, who's been outstanding, has been put to 18th man because, the Hammer's back. So, I'll go the Dolphins in that one.
Excellent. Just the markets on those last two games are the Storm going 130, Eels 350, line betting 10.5. Gain support for Para this time at the plus 10.5. Game total 46.5. The under's been well supported. And the final game there, the Dolphins at 127, West Tigers 375, line betting 11.5. Dolphins supported to win by 12 or more into 187 there. And game total at 46.5. Take us through our Sunday play from the NRL. Sol, how are we going about it?
So we go, what do you reckon, gentlemen? Should we go Panthers 13 plus? The Storm, the 5 plus margin. As I said, I'm not 100% on that one. And the Dolphins 13 plus, that'll give us 523. You like that one, Marty?
I certainly do.
Now, Taruva from the Panthers to score. Into Harry Grant. He likes to try against the Parramatta Eels. And then we'll go the Dolphins, Jake Avarillo at $14.44. And then I'm going to have a little play. I like the old back rowers. I'm going to have a little hashtag 11 play, Shorty. I'm going to go the Panthers, Liam Martin, into the Storms, Sean Bloor. We'll get $10.50 for that as well.
Like it. It's given us some good options to play around with there today when it comes to anytime try scorers. Taruva Grant and Avarillo, $14.44, and then Martin and Bohr in excess of $10. And our key play, Penrith to win by 13 or more, the Storm 5 or more, and the Dolphins 13 or more, $5.23. Gives us a great interest in all three games here in the Magic Round. So just quickly, no doubt you've been a part of the Magic Round at some stage. We've seen this sneak into the AFL. They've stolen the NRL's idea with the gather round the last couple of years across there in South Australia, and it's quickly got enormous momentum and proven incredibly popular with the punters. A lot of people planning their holidays around it. Tell us a little bit about just how important the Magic Round is for the NRL as far as really promoting the sport itself and getting big groups of people together at the same place at the same time, having a great time at the NRL.
Well, that's the thing. It works, doesn't it? And the NRL, interesting enough, took it off the Super League. In the UK, they started it, and the NRL said we'll have a piece of that. And I think what it does, it becomes that community feel, boys. You know, at the end of the day, you go back up there and you see people you haven't seen for 12 months. And I think the whole thing, and the clubs like it as well. At the end of the day, if you talk to all the NRL players, their favourite ground is Suncorp Stadium. Because, you know, you see a lot of visiting sides go out there and take on the Broncos and perform really, really well, don't they? But it's a stadium they want to play at. So, yeah, that's no disrespect of course, Accor here in Sydney, but Suncorp is a great game to play. Mate, I tell you, it's a party atmosphere, isn't it? I love seeing all the different jerseys, and there was no need for the booing last night for Latrell Mitchell, but I do like all the different sort of jerseys, just watching whoever's playing.
So it's going to be a fantastic finish to Magic Round today. We'll listen in on Thursday, talk again on the drive on Friday. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely. You stay safe, gentlemen. Enjoy your Sunday.
He's a beauty.
Cheers, Sol.
James Sully Sullivan. A lot of live sport about to hit us and going on at the moment. How about the golf? How's that PGA looking at the moment?
Well, it's all happening there, Marty. It's been happening on and off.
Yes.
The golf course itself as well. Scotty Scheffler, his quote, "I spent time stretching in a jail cell. It was a first for me." I got caught up with an incident that had happened at the golf course on his way into the actual golf course, and was sort of tried to get around to get ready for the golf and was pulled over and then had an incident with a officer, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that pans out. This guy must have some pretty significant intestinal fortitude, though. Most people would ring up sick for work and not bother sort of going from there, trying to deal with what's just happened. He's fronted up and continued to play golf at a very, very high level. So I know that last night I was watching a little bit of this and it got put on pause for a while because of fog, Marty. There was fog that sort of postponed play for a good couple of hours there overnight. It's live again as we speak. And Colin Morikawa is 14 under and leading the tournament from Lowry, Scheffler, and also Thigala. And then we're down to, they're all on 13 under. And then on 12 under, Rose, Hovland, and also McIntyre. So it's a very congested leaderboard. Only a couple of shots between the top 7 in contention there at the moment. So good luck if you've had an early play. But Colin Morikawa, currently our tournament leader on 14 under.
Righto. Now the text line's up and about. Tommy from Byford. Boys, is that it for the Crows this year? And why can't they beat the Pies? Well, I got to say, they just own those close games, don't they, Collingwood? And they certainly owe the Crow. I think that's the last 4 have been under a kick.
Marty, I've got I saw a very interesting tweet that went up, not so much in regards to Collingwood, who have got an excellent record in close games, but the flip side of this, games decided by a goal or less in the Knicks era. Adelaide are now 6 wins, 1 draw, and 16 losses, a 26% win record. 24% of games in the Knicks era are decided by a kick or less. So he gets into a lot of close games, but he only wins 1 in 4 when it's close.
And conversely, under Fly, I think Collingwood have won 16 of 20 less than a kick. So he knows how to win them, and Nick just doesn't quite know how to win them.
To be fair, I don't know that he's had the cattle to get big games won at different stages. I know now with guys like sort of Rankin and that's really emerging, and Dawson as real sort of guys that want to win games. Rochelle, they've got young talent now that really want to get there and be the person that wins the game for their team. I think over time you can make a case that it will improve for them with those calibre of players trying to get it done. But over the last few years, while he's been building the list, I think at different stages, they've been pretty limited with the cattle they've had on the park.
Well, answering that question as well, are they done? Well, they're now 10 points adrift of 8th, I should say, which are the Dockers at this stage. Sorry, which is Port at this stage. I'm getting mixed up with all these names that have changed. Port have still got a game to come. So,
what I would say, Marty, is if you're a supporter of any team, probably down to, I'd say Adelaide. Don't rip up any tickets just yet. It's a funny season. It is, but we've seen some sides that were looking good drop stretches of games consecutively. GWS is a great example. I thought they were the team to beat after 5 or 6 rounds. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games now, and they were convincingly beaten by the Western Bulldogs. Played off the park yesterday. Jesse Hogan, big game for him. I thought they might have sort of got a bit of a lift. He wanted to win the game. He was doing some pretty decent things up front, but there wasn't a lot of supply. The Western Bulldogs just choked the Giants there, and no, they've got some pretty significant injury issues they've been dealing with over the last 4 or 5 weeks, but they've come right back to the pack after looking like they were going to be the real benchmark for the season early doors. Conversely, their crosstown rivals, Sydney, can you believe they dropped a game to Richmond going back some 5 or 6 weeks ago now? which shows you if you don't turn up and you're top playing the bottom, you can still get beaten. But gee whiz, since then they've really made amends. Geelong were looking, incredible up to a couple of weeks ago. They now look very beatable. The Pies had a slow start. They're starting to come good. Your boys Essendon are on an absolute heater. Last 5 games, 4 wins and a draw. Melbourne are showing some very good signs. Gold Coast were excellent the other night against Geelong, and yet if you'd asked me what I think about Gold Coast 2 weeks ago after the Q clash, I would have told you put them in the bin, throw them back in the sea. They're no good. They didn't give a yelp against Brisbane on that occasion in a big game where their opponent basically had no bench rotation for 3/4 of the game. So it's week to week. You've got to have your wits about you.
Well, here's the Crows' next 3 weeks, and they are all winnable. They've got West Coast at home, Hawthorn away, Tigers at home, and then they have Sydney at home. And then GWS at home. So their next 3, they must ink them in, and if they can, and maybe steal one against Sydney or GWS, they're right back in it. And I thought yesterday, I actually tipped the Crows, and I thought the 16-point start was an absolute gift. I did like the cherry on top at about 340 as well. And they just found a way to lose that game, to be honest. Found a way to lose it.
Blah, blah, blah. Let Marty Young and David Shortte do all the talking on the Afternoon. Sunday morning at his best on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Yes, and what about this man, Chris Nelson, joining us instead of Christine Robartson? I got my Chris's mixed up there, David, but that doesn't matter. We've got Chris Nelson online. How are you this morning?
Going well, thanks, Marty. Good morning to you, and good morning, Shorty.
Good morning to you, Chris. Yeah, great to be catching up with you on this Sunday morning, fresh off a big, big day of racing up there in your backyard there yesterday at Doomben. It was, of course, Doomben 10,000 Day, and it was a tight finish, but Bella Nipotina, Craig Williams punching it out to get the better of I Wish I Win. Espiona was back in third. Private Eye finished in 4th position. And, the soft 7 track, as it turned out, was very nice indeed for Bella Nipotina, and putting together a magnificent record, it must be said. I don't know if you can say it about a mare that's cracked up more than $10 million in prize money, but she continues to be a little underrated, I think, Bella Nipotina, and that was the case again yesterday, market-wise, as a $7 chance.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think she is underrated, and I was a bit surprised when I heard yesterday that she'd won over $10 million. I thought, really? But to tell you what, she was given an absolute peach of a ride by Craig Williams after the slow start. I mean, most of the punters that were on her would have thought, we might be in a bit of trouble here. She missed the start a length, and then she was in an awkward spot. So things didn't pan out, back buried on the fence, near enough to last, 9 lengths off the lead. But then, when he got to the home turn, he was able to extricate himself off the fence. He got to the outside, and the field had sort of bunched, so he was nice and close by that stage. And he was in plenty of clear running. And I think we all thought once I Wish I Win burst through that the race was his. But Craig Williams and Bella Nipotina had other ideas, and they were able to run him down. So great finish, a worthy winner, well-worthy winner.
Yeah, no doubt she is. We, on Drive on Tuesday, spoke about her. There was an interview with Kieran Maher that we clipped off Sky Thoroughbred Central, I think it was. And she'd worked on Tuesday morning, and he went, wow. Never seen her work as good as this. So, and we were just discussing about her resilience and longevity as a racehorse, like what she can do, and frequent flyer points everywhere. But she's come back from the quokka here at Ascot to win a Doomben 10,000. What a performance.
Yeah, well, travel takes it out of some of these horses, but certainly not her. She's all over the place going to these good races. And yeah, she just keeps on keeping on, and they have a lot of data and everything. They use that stable. They're very, very switched on, so they would know exactly, all the blood counts and all the stuff that we don't know anything about. So they would know how well she's going, and obviously, as you said, Marty, she must have worked the house down there on Tuesday morning. I should have been there.
Indeed. Now, Chris, the day rounded out well. You're pretty keen on Tannhauser. You mentioned it yesterday in the halftime report. It's duly saluted with J-Mac aboard. Defeating Autumn Angel, who we know is a very talented type. And Kintyre ran third. They looked the big 3 in this race. The punters nailed it, and they ran 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, they did. And look, Tannhauser was... interestingly, he's been a bit of a maligned horse, Tannhauser, but he's come back really well, his prep. And 2000's his go, or probably further now, because he'll head off to the Derby. And I think the wet track's his go as well. He really seems to excel in the wet ground. And Look, he ran well at Randwick on that really wet track the last day of the carnival. He just didn't get anywhere near the fence, and that was the place to be. So I think he was only beaten just over a length. So in that month or just under that had off, he was gelded. So he's now a gelding, and that switched him on yesterday because he just bolted up to them on the home turn, and they were never going to go with him. Autumn Angel chased hard. Kintyre was given an absolute perfect ride again by CJ Graham, but he was too good. And off to the Derby he goes to clash again with Autumn Angel and maybe others.
Yeah, should be a great Derby, always is up there. What about the Bright Shadow over the 1,100 metres, taken out by Aureus Angel for Muntz and Thornton?
Yeah, big odds for Aureus Angel, but look, she's got a really good fresh record, and she likes to give in the ground. So not really a massive surprise as long as there was pace on, and there was pace on, and that's what helped her. So she was able to get to that right part of the track. I think probably 4 or 5 off the fence. Outwards was the better part of the track yesterday as we got late in the day, especially the rough habit. They were well off the inside. Bazik, I thought, did a really good job. She's a mare of Tony Gollins that's got a lot of ability, but she just tends to draw bad gates, etc. She was up on speed all the way outside Party for 2 and did a really good job to hold on and run second. I mean, she was only beaten less than 0.2 of a length, so a really good run by Bazik. Chinny Boom pulled up with the thumps. Parasol was the favourite, also pulled up with the thumps. Big weight going against, worst part of the track, probably forgivable there, definitely I'd say actually for Parasol. And Enterprise Palm ran into 4th spot, a horse that we know that settles on speed. New stable, got back and ran on quite strongly. So, interesting race.
Indeed. On to the Group 2 Spirit of Boom Classic for the 2-year-olds. Big result this for Leon and Troy Corstens with the Schnitzel Colt Bitter Creek with Blake Shin aboard.
Yeah, interesting race again. He had some good form. He's got some good form down in Melbourne. 2 starts for 2 placings in listed grade. Always thought he was a little bit over the odds here, particularly with Blake Shin riding. And look, sat 5 lengths off them, was quite strong to the line. Elmore Zillow was out the back, ran on very well. Probably gave 8 lengths to the leaders and tracked the winner Bitter Creek on the home turn. So cut that margin back a little bit on the line, did quite well. President was better. Angel Capital was the horse we're all keen to see. He was so impressive winning that race at Cranbourne. I think he just got too far back here, and around Doomben, it's not that easy to make ground in these shorter races when you're 10 lengths off the lead. So I don't think he lost any admirers, but we'll see what he does next time.
Hey, Chris, I tell you what was a cracking race. The Chairman's over the 2,000 metres, Spirit Ridge and New Endeavour hit the line together. It was a heads up, heads down.
Yeah, and I was with Spirit Ridge, Marty, so I thought, oh, gee, I don't know on the line. And I tell you what, New Endeavour, who I'd been potting all morning and everywhere saying, I don't think it'll run 2,000 metres. Well, I was right, because it didn't. It ran 1,999 metres. But, look, it pulled up with heat stress, so it was quite a good run, and it did look the winner when it burst through. So, 1,600 metres was as far as New Endeavour had been, and I thought I was in a lot of trouble there, and he ran a really good race. So I'd say he'll probably get further now, so I was completely wrong. Spirit Ridge got the head down on the line. They were the 2. Regal Lion ran 4th. He was pretty good because he did a lot of work in the run. He was wide most of the way, and he stuck on quite well. It doesn't like wet ground either, so that was a better run than looks on paper even. And June 45 ran 3rd. Well backed and ran a much improved race to June 45.
Yeah, it's nice to be right when you're on, Chris. Spirit Ridge getting the bob in. That's the main thing for the punters. Gringotts was good for Jamie Carr. Another winner for Kieran Maher. Geez, these big carnival days, he's a hard man to stop with the incredible team that he seems to be taking all over Australia now. This looked pretty hard to beat, though. A horse that's racing really well at the moment, and nice win.
Yeah, you just kept coming back to him. When you did the form, all the others just had some negatives there. Gringotts had 2 runs back this prep. He was good first up winning when he was wide. Then he won the Tamworth Cup in good style. And there was a lot of people that wanted to pot him, though. I don't know why. He just needed to find a spot, and he did. And Jamie Carr found the perfect spot, 1-1, and he was bolting at the top of the straight. So he won clearly. He ran good time. The sectionals home late were very, very good. I don't think he beat any superstars, but he could only win, and he did that well. So whether he goes off to a race such as the Stradbroke or gets in there, be interesting to see. But he's 3 from 3 this prep, and I think he's 7 from 13 in his career, so he really shouldn't have any detractors.
Okay, what about horses to follow from the Doomben meeting, and then we'll wrap up Scone's 2-day carnival?
Razors out of race 3, I thought had a little luck in the straight and probably wants a bit further, so stick with Razors. Gringotts, I really like that win. He can win again. And another winner there, Tannhauser, I think he's going to improve over even further. And if we get a wet track on Derby Day, he's going to be the one to beat, Marty.
Okay, what about Scone? Can you wrap it up?
Look, it was a funny old day there. The rain sort of fell halfway through. I thought they'd all start to come down the outside, and we saw that with Opal Ridge, and we saw that with Commemorative, and then we saw our good mate Paul Cindy Shorty come through along the inside and win race 8. So I think at the end of the day, it was just a matter if you handled the ground or you didn't handle the ground. I thought Commemorative was good, winning the Denise's Joy.
Mm-hmm.
She came down the outside and looked pretty good, and we'll probably head to Queensland, I would say. Nothing wrong with the run Spring Lee in that race. And Martini Mama, probably had every chance. Looked to travel well, but she might have been just ready for a break. She's had a few runs this time in. So I think Commemorative, a horse to follow, and Opal Ridge, who won the Hortensia, will head up this way towards probably the Tiara, I would say, the back end of the carnival.
The text line's open, 0427 789 571 for Retrovision. Morning, boys. Can you ask Chris, can I ask you about Bailey Wheeler? Hasn't ridden since 4th of May. Injured or suspended or naughty boy again? That is from Brad of Maylands.
That's a very, very good question. I hadn't even noticed that. With all the big jockeys in town, I had not even noticed. So I'm going to put that in my file here.
To-do list?
I'll put that in my to-do list. When do I need to answer you by?
Just throw one. Throw a text through when you can. We'll get it to air.
Okay, will do. Beautiful. I'll find out where he's gone.
Okay, beautifully done. Did you end up in front on the punt yesterday, Chris? That's the main thing we want to know.
No, sort of even. One of those days. Could have. I needed Hortensia. I really needed Hortensia.
Hortensia? She back running, is she?
She ran third. Come on, third in a Group 1. That's okay. Look, she really likes to get her head to the side, doesn't she?
Hortensia, mate. The race called. Yeah. She doesn't race anymore.
No, Hortensia. Oh, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. Hang on, we'll go again and go with
Espiona.
Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
It's early on a Sunday, Chris.
Sunday.
Is there any? Speaking of Sunday, if we're even yesterday, can we get in front of the ledger today there at the sunny coast? Is there anything of significance for the punters to get involved with today?
There is. If you remember last Sunday, I mentioned a horse that came out of the 2-year-old race. It was a maiden, and it ran into all sorts of trouble in the straight at $91 and was a sneaky good run. The name of the horse was Zula, and it's going around at the Sunshine Coast today. Race 7, number 10, and I can tell you it's been heavily back from around $25 into under double figures, just under. A lot of support for it. A lot of people saw that video of that race. So race 7, number 10, Zula each way.
Very nice indeed, Chris. Tremendous catching up with you as always this morning here on The Aftermath. Look forward to chatting with you again next Saturday afternoon for our halftime reports. And, of course, you'll be teaming up with Nathan Exelby and Matty McDermott from 7:30 next Saturday morning. That's always a great listen. Until then, many winners.
Thanks, guys, and we look like we're going to have a fine week. So hopefully good track next Saturday.
Beautifully done. There he is, Chris Nelson. Text line open. We're about to catch up with Dave Robartson as well. But before we do, Shorty and Marty, I used to love watching Latrell Mitchell play, but now his spasmodic efforts, undisciplined acts, and general disregard to all stakeholders is becoming obnoxious. That's why they were booing him. That is from Davo.
Fair point, Davo. Yeah, I think hard to argue with that. And we all love a humble champion, Marty. There's nothing better than watching somebody that's elite at what they do, that's
he's lost his way.
Grounded, happy to still chat to the fans, speaks with respect of their opposition, win, lose or draw. There's not a lot of that going on there at the moment.
Racing. Shy Emoji given plenty of galloping room out wide, shows speed. Racing Barbie's going to cross though and take the early lead. Beauty in Time comes across from out wide. Getting up on the inside was Lady Sherwood, and also pushing through in the middle there was Shy Emoji. In behind them next of all was Scramble Button. Well back, Nice Wicket. Trunky May sees them all off the back, and Racing Barbie found the top out by 3. Getting up on the inside, Shy Emoji runs on. Beauty in Time on its outside, then followed by Lady Sherwood on the corner. Racing Barbie coming at it. Shy Emoji flying, got up. Shy Emoji's won a nostril. Racing Barbie wobbled off on the corners, run second.
Well, even the best of them get it wrong every now and again. Racing Barbie, in what was a deceiving photo, actually got up to knock off Shy Emoji, and Christine Robartson, I'm sure, would have been delighted with the performance handed. Christine would have been delighted, but we're speaking with Dave, her husband, this morning here on The Aftermath. Dave, great to be catching up with you. And in a deceiving finish, did you think Racing Barbie had got the bob in on the line?
I was hoping. it was very close. I didn't handle her last night. Jodie did, and she was. It was heads up and heads down. I think she just got it down in time.
I'm glad got the result. Was keen to team up with Racing Barbie when we saw Wise Barra come out of the race. Racing Barbie had put together a really nice win the week before from the same draw, and clearly is a greyhound that's improving. This is a litter that's getting better with each run, Dave, and they've only lightly raced the Zach Manelli Recall Kelsos litter. The first litter out of this mum was particularly successful. She's been a very good producer, Recall Kelsos.
She has, been a very, very nice producer. Yeah, she's the mother of Hinto. He last night actually crossed the $300,000 mark, so I'm very proud of him.
Oh, he was excellent later in the program. You got the luck on the photo in that particular race, but not quite in the free-for-all later on in the night, where Barbecue Man was very, very clever early doors. He chopped off Hinto, who was just about to cross into that first corner. Barbecue Man held the fence, and then Hinto sidled up next to it. It looked like it would just about get there and just miss. But this is a dog you must be so proud of, Dave. Hinto, as you touched on, broke the $300,000 mark prize money-wise last night. There is a dog that's had 75 starts for 21 wins, 33 placings, most of them in top grade. This dog just never runs a bad race. He's been an incredible campaigner for your kennel for a good couple of years now.
He sure has, yeah. And when you put him in the boxes, you know you're going to get a run for your money. Depending, not even depending on which fields it's in. He's just one of those dogs that gives you 110% every time.
Well, you front up next week into that Oaks final. Dave Hobby's been dominating. He won the other two heats. He won the Derby final, of course, last night there as well with Sneaky Emoji. So he turns up to the gunfight with a few more bullets in his particular pistol. But must be said, Racing Barbie's a greyhound that's got plenty of improvement still in her. How do you rate her chances in the big final next week?
Yeah, well, David's drawn 1, 2, 3, so I'm out in 7, so I'm hoping that I can keep out of trouble, get out of trouble, and the rest of them squeeze up on the first turn or something like that. But it's a very even field if you look at the times they all ran last night. So it'll be a fingers crossed job once again.
Okay, so is she suited out there?
Well, she had 5, and she
Yep.
sort of, when you're in those races, whether you're suited or not, you just got to try and make the best of it. So just try and make sure we get her out the boxes again like she has been beginning, and fingers crossed from there onwards.
Absolutely. Just keep her nice and fresh and ping the lids at box draw. Sunset Lasso in 1, Sunset Serengeti in 2, Shy Emoji in 3, Miss Envy in 4, Girls Like You in 5, Go Seek Francine in 6, Racing Barbie in 7, and West on Miley's out there in box number 8. Dave, you've had plenty of success in feature races. Have you won a WA Oaks in the past?
We have. Long time ago. Roxy Reason won one.
Yes. Gee, she was a great bitch going back many, many years ago now. And that line threw an absolute stack of winners through that decade for yourself and your kennel.
Absolutely. Was sort of right through to this girl here is the mother of these pups. Is a granddaughter of High Owner, who is a son of Roxy Reason.
Wow. And the line's still proving fruitful for you all the way down the track, some 20 years down the line. It's unbelievable.
Yes, that's right. It's I often shake my head and think, gee, where would we have been without these sorts of dogs in your kennel over the years?
Well, it's been a wonderful run for yourself and Christine. And you touched on Jodie handling the dog there last night. Gee, she's been a massive asset for both yourselves as well as greyhound racing in recent times. We, of course, held a big promotion going back a couple of years ago, Chase the Dream. You guys were heavily involved. Jodie remains heavily involved, bringing new people into the sport, showing them how much fun the greyhound ownership can be. And, of course, the greyhound that everyone's involved with from that period of time ago, Erasmus Duke, has gone on to do some really good things on the track. It didn't have much luck there on Friday night. at Mandurah, but it's proven to be a really good dog after taking a little while to work it all out. And Jodie's been a real driving force in looking after all of those new owners. She's been magnificent in recent times to help promote the sport.
Yeah, she never misses a night if he's racing, or she tries to be there if it's possible. And she sort of updates them on the Facebook every time he's racing, let them know that the dog is racing. So, yeah, she's been good. And at home, same. She's here every day and looking after all the pups and everything else that's running around. So, takes a lot of pressure off us.
Absolutely. Dave, just quickly, Raquel Kelsos. So this is her second litter and she's having great success. Has she got a third litter on the ground?
Yes, I've got a litter to Vice Grip.
Excellent. Of course, wonderful campaigner, local dog that the Smithsons had incredible success with. He was one of the most consistent dogs I've seen in a long time, and we've seen Raquel Kelsos throw Hinto, who's probably one of the most consistent top-grade dogs I've seen in a long time as well. So, gee whiz, if you can match that line together, you're going to end up with some, hopefully, very, very consistent dogs that race at a high level.
Yes, well, they're nice pups. They've got plenty of go in them, and they're now about 5 months old, but they look the part, so fingers crossed.
Excellent. Yeah, good stuff, Dave. Appreciate your time this morning here on The Aftermath. Good luck in that Oaks final next Saturday night and indeed with the remainder of this litter. And give Hinto a special pat for us today. He's been a great campaigner for your kennel, cracking the $300,000 mark. It's quite an achievement. He's got plenty more wins left in store as well, I thought we saw there last night.
Yes, fingers crossed. He's going back to Mandurah in a couple of weeks, so he'll be looking forward to that too.
He loves the place down there. He'll be winning plenty over the next 4 or 5 months while Cannington is in recess. Good on you, Dave. All the best.
All right, mate. Thank you very much.
Dave Robartson with us. Great guy in greyhound racing, Marty. He's had incredible success for many decades now. What about that? Roxy Reason, his Oaks winner from in the 90s, and he's now the producer, Raquel Kelsos, 30 years down the track, still throwing dogs that are fronting up in group races. It's amazing when you get a line. It's the same with good brood mares. If you get the right line, they just keep throwing and throwing and throwing.
Yeah, Preakness Stakes, the big second leg of the Triple Crown over there in the US is being run on dirt at Pimlico up there at Delaware, and it'll be run at about 7 o'clock. So we'll keep an eye and listen to see what happens there. We'll take a break. Racetrack Ralphy's next. Very good morning, Racetrack Ralphy.
Good morning, boys. It was not a fun day for me yesterday.
It must be said that it hasn't probably gone to plan when you kick off like that, Ralphie. Let's get straight into it. Sneaky Sunrise kicked things off for Dan Stackhouse, defeating Narbold and Snack Bar. Was it at least a decent start to the day for you?
Well, that's right. It was, at least this was logical. This horse had no luck on Anzac Day, and Sneaky Sunrise, Narbold and Snack Bar actually all ran the trifecta at a Ballarat race a couple of starts prior to that. So it was actually quite strong to the line. I mean, the time lined up okay actually with the fourth race there, which wasn't overly strong, but always a good sign when 2-year-olds can line up with older horses. We don't often see it. So I reckon Snack Bar and Narbold will have wins in store for them. Pretty sound 2-year-old.
It was a good day for Dan Stackhouse. He upset them all in the second with Amber Wright, the New Zealander.
Well, so I'll go through a few of these roughies and the why. At least this one you can say, well, it was just different form and it was in the right spot. I think Merzan and Cadmus, who was quite easy in the market, but they were both terrific last start. They're probably just looking for 2,400 now, so that was probably a tweener run for them. But Amber Light's come across, obviously rock hard fit and won on the day. But I think we still want to follow Merzan and Cadmus going forward.
All right, so Merzan and Cadmus, despite not going to plan there yesterday, keep with them over the next little period of time to race number 3. Benchmark 78 for the fillies and mares. Neonce arriving here, defeating Moore Mum and Fearless Rider. Geordie Childs aboard from barrier 11 over the 1,200 metres.
Yep, and this jumped cleanly, and that was the difference. It started odds on for a reason on Anzac Day when obviously their punters left it in if they took that short price, because its win prior at Sandown was absolutely super. I heard afterwards Graham Begg said probably go for a spell, And if that's the case, well, I think he's got a very, very nice mare going forward. Still lightly races, only its first Australian preparation, 4th run for him. And I wouldn't be surprised if a stakes wins ahead. More mum tested it late, but I think it was just a case of Geordie was really, nursing it in front. I think it floated a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if it's even better when it's got something to chase. So very nice horse on the up, but I think that we won't see it again at this time of year.
Okay, 4th event, Riverina Power for Tom Dabinick. Declan Bates, tell us about this win.
Yeah, so I've done a bit of reverse hindsight on some of these. I think Tom Dabinick had a throw at the stumps in stakes races last year. She's never done anything on the clock. Obviously likes wet ground, and its previous run was just in the wrong spot there at the Bull, which had very, very quirky form, as we all know, when they backed it heavily on her home track. So she's rebounded. Eugenius has run to its best, but obviously mow down was a bit of a walling job for the punters there. Didn't get out at all. It's sort of funny. I was just thinking afterwards that if Jack Hill had have ridden it instead of Damien Lane, everyone would have said, well, that's what Jack does, and said you got a world-class jockey who also, found no luck. I'm not bagging. I'm just saying sometimes the luck's not there. The Shaper, I think it's also looking for further now too. There was a sound mile run and mow down. I think the whole rule will be on it next start. That's the problem. It might probably start unders going forward.
Indeed. On to race number 5, and this horse just dropped on them late. Lose Some, Win More, defeated Sioux Spirit and Bit Frosted. It's been a pretty good run of late for the Jollies, and this was a really nice performance. Mickey D continues to just deliver. He's been a wonderful rider for a significant period of time now.
Couldn't agree more. Always puts him in the right spot. Did yesterday. This is where, you could have your Saturday morning opinion, as I call it, and then there's a Saturday afternoon opinion once you see what the market does, because Sister would have been jumping out quite sharply leading in, but when a Mar horse first up is just friendless in the betting, you need to be pretty careful. Whereas conversely, they came for this one with pretty solid South Australian form. Its win first up was terrific, and then a bit of a sideways run last start at 1,200, back to the 1,100, Coiled Spring. You wanted to follow the money, and it was quite sharp. I think it's got more wins in store for it too. It was only third up. Race
number 6 was Simon Wild, Dan Stackhouse again, a treble there at this stage with Navy King winning.
So position and running this, as I said, I'm trying to do a bit of reverse hindsight here. And so they took the blinkers off at 3 starts back. Then they rode it too cold, both at Terang and at Caulfield. And then yesterday with the Norton bid on, and it was over racing there, yesterday with the Norton bid on, just relaxed second line from barrier 1. So it was just in that perfect position. But it was a good win. I think you're going to trust a big margin, because I quite like the winner Saban at Cranbourne, and it's gone on with it, only beaten a length and a half. Now, a lot of these out the back, they'll be at Balnarring next year, but this was quite a nice win. I think the first 2 here we can fight, because they're only going to race against 3-year-old company going forward over the next couple of months.
All right, so Navy King and Saban, stick with them over the next little patch. Straight horses, sometimes straight horses in straight races are worthy of following, and the punters stepped right into Who Dares here yesterday for Patrick Maloney. Was up on top of the speed, was there to be beaten, but just kept on giving. Was a good, brave win, defeating Nicolini Vito, who bobbed at it late, and then Mahaba back in third.
Wow, this horse improved over the summer. It ran. It was just beating the nose, I think, in a listed 1,400 here, and in a blistering time. Or beautiful ride, Paddy Maloney put it on the speed, and they stopped backing this horse. From Saturday morning until the barriers opened. So they just did not miss. Nicolini Vito made it pretty close late. He's better at 1,400, Nicolini Vito, but nice and fresh. He can nearly do that. And the others are pretty exposed, bar from, and this was the big flashing light of the day, I suppose, boys, was Poison Chalice. It was expecting the market at big odds, and I think it's got many more wins in store for it, Poison Chalice. It was a huge run. The fact that Paul Pushka decided to run it in this as a lightly raced horse who'd previously been 1,400, 1,800, it's a horse to follow for the winter for sure.
Wonderful scenes after the Andrew Ramsden. The map wins, goes into the Melbourne Cup, mostly cloudy, looked a bit unlucky in second.
Yeah, it certainly was. But yeah, I mean, I had a good look at the replay. I don't think Luke Curry did anything wrong. He was trying to follow Damien Lane, and there was no other options for him. So it wasn't much in it. I don't think the map will be a chance, but that doesn't matter. As you said, the scenes were wonderful, and it just keeps on improving. So good on them for getting it in the race. I think from a Black Booker's perspective, mostly cloudy, and let's be frank, Baby are the ones that we're going to follow in the winter. I think they'll both have wins in store, and Captain Envious was too far back. If it gets a wet track, it'll be winning.
All right, Ralphie, last couple of races went the way of Milford and also the last Lynx. Key Black Bookers?
Tell you about Black Bookers today. The one we didn't get to with Milford's race was Red Sun Sensation. It's now ready. It was a little hidden one there. Poison Chalice, the whole world saw. And I think early in the day, both Modown and the Shaper looking for a mile.
Thanks, Ralphy.
Tony, boys.
On The Aftermath, it's time to introduce the 1985 Brownlow medalist from the Footscray Football Club, Brad Hardie. Introducing the boy from Hilton, the AFL guru, Brad Hardie.
Good morning, Bradley.
Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Shorty. Good to be with you, boys. And what a weekend of footy we've had already, and more to come today. But it was interesting last night. The Dockers did it tough, but they found a way home in the battle of St Kilda United versus Fremantle Tricolore. And park the bus, both ends, and see who can score last.
The onion bag wasn't copping too much of a working over, it must be said. Freo's goal-kicking woes. This is another game. After the week they had in front of goal against Sydney the week prior, I think you can probably forgive part of that given the circumstance in the build-up to that game. They completely dominated possession, Freo, but 9-18. It's time to start doing a little bit of work in front of the big sticks at training, I'd suggest, Bradley.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Shorty. And look, and I think Lyon took preparation to try and nullify. I think they did a good job on Sarong. Sarong had the numbers yesterday, Marty, but he was pretty well quelled a little bit, and that's what you need to do. Five was in the horrors. He couldn't kick it properly. Brayshaw was probably the impetus in the third quarter to get off the chain, Shorty, to get him back on track a little bit. And, I thought Jordan Clark snapped back into his best. They didn't pay enough attention to him early, and he was pretty good. And they had to set up behind the ball, and they just didn't have a forward. They can't score, St Kilda, and that's their biggest problem. And look, and that's coaching, and I'm not having a cheap shot here, because when it happens continually, it's coaching. I don't think the boys at St Kilda are enjoying themselves too much. I don't think they know how to play free-flowing football, because I don't think they're allowed.
Yep.
Are they missing Higgins? They're really badly missing Higgins at the moment, St Kilda. There's no doubt about that. And, last night there was a lot of heat put on King throughout the course of the week, Brad, and it was never going to be easy for him, because he had to play on one of the form backmen in the competition. Pearce was, again, a spectacular for Fremantle overnight. From season to season, the contrast in his game is incredible. He was just going last year, but this year he's come back a different human being, and he's got to be in All-Australian contention, the job that he's doing there, keeping most of the key full forwards really quiet.
I'm doing a jack of all trades here, boys, by the way, and Fury was controlling this fight. Now Usyk's landed a couple of big bombs, and Fury's bleeding a little bit, so we'll just keep that might be changing momentum here. You're right, Shorty. Look, I'll tell you what, can I describe it in this way? I see him as not Tom Lynch now, but Tom Lynch at the Gold Coast. He doesn't run through the flight of the ball. He doesn't take the ball at its highest point. He jumps around packs, Marty, and tries to snatch the marks. You know what I mean? He's a big boy. He's got speed off the mark. And if he runs and leaps at the ball and jumps through the line, Shorty, no one can stop him. But he just doesn't like physical contact, and that's a problem. And that was exactly the way Tom Lynch used to play at the Gold Coast, and then he came to Richmond, and we saw quite a big transformation. So maybe age will do it, but I think and at the other end, Amos was much better. A bit of a suki lala a few weeks ago. Justin Longmuir trying to look after him. Well, at least last night he started to compete, and he started to work for the team, not just Jai. He was taking his man away, Wilkie, who's a pretty good defender, Marty. He was taking him out of the way and allowing others to get involved and kick the goal. Don't worry about how many we kick, as long as we get them. But he had a few shots last night, but he was ordinary in front of the big sticks. Very, very lazy run-up, and he's got to get on top of that, Shorty. He was the biggest defender when it came to inaccurate kicking.
Okay, what about Frederick? Concussion, Jimmy Webster, mid-air collision. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this?
No, he'll be right. He'll be fine. And I say Webster, that is. I mean,
Yep.
and Frederick will be okay too. He was up and about, but still, he's going to go through the protocols. He has to. It had a little bit of Jordan Lewis about it. Same ground. Remember Shorty a few years ago against the Dogs? Yeah. And look, both eyes for the ball, and that's what the AFL want. So they can't suspend him because they're saying, okay, two guys going for the ball, one running with a flight, one coming from the other direction, and he made a genuine attempt, and in fact, he got a lot of the ball. So, yeah, it was no problem there for Webster, but unfortunately for Frankie, he's going to be missing for the 12 days minimum.
Let's go back to that belter of a game of the MCG. Collingwood 78 defeat Adelaide 74 in a nail biter, and the big question is, what did you think about the decision on Isaac Rankin for running too far?
Yeah, well, I think it's been proven that he did run 24, but where's the theatre, Shorty? Come on, umpire! Seriously.
Maybe at the Adelaide Oval it might have been a bit different in front of a home crowd there, Bradley.
He did have one bounce, but and he's so fast. That's the other thing. So, what a cracking game. And look, I always say about all day, I don't know if you boys, you would have been involved in racing as well, but all day it was like this. Collingwood surge. Adelaide try and catch up. Couldn't get within 2 goals. Couldn't get inside that 10-point margin. Collingwood surge again. Adelaide come again. And eventually they got inside their head and you thought, hello, they're going to get them here. But to their credit, it can't be a fluke, boys. They just do it too often, the Pies, don't they? They just find a way. And he's a magician, young Nick. He's Nick Dacos. He's a magician. Why they didn't put someone to him. They could have put... Look, he may not have been able to keep up. Keys was doing naught up in the forward line. He's not a forward. He's not, it was an old-time waltzer in the middle of the ground. We know that, and they've already got Crouch and Laird in there, so they've got no speed. So you don't want him in there. Rankin's gone up there to replace him. They should have gone and put someone to him. He's at 40. 40.
Yep.
And again, coming through the, Chris ran, he just ran himself into the ground, and he looked around and, oh, my God, I can't run any further. Oh, no, here's Nick coming past. Here's the handball champ. And he hit the target on DeGoey, lays out. And that's the moment. That was the moment that you win and lose.
And just before that, it was that smother from Quaynor, wasn't it? And look, they had a bit of, I've got to say this, they had the rub of the green, I think, most of the day. But you make your own luck in this game. But that smother, instead it could have gone anywhere, goes back towards Collingwood. They get the run of the ball. And what about that goal where the ball bounced earlier on in the match? Two Crows defenders had it covered, pitched in between and went 45 degrees. Bang, there were little incidents. And I think even Fly in his post game has, suggested that, we did have a bit of luck there.
Yeah. I just quickly, boys.
Stephen Mill Mogan.
That's spot on. Can bounce at awkward angles. Brad, one fellow I want to give a shout out to from Collingwood missed out on their grand final last year. Nobles, since coming back in, and I tell you, it would have been very easy for him to spit the dummy Noble and get the toys out of the cot and say, no, you can all get stuffed and go and try and find another football club or another. He's taken the hard option, which is to toughen up, work hard, prove again that I'm worthy of being in this side, and he's been very, very instrumental in their form turnaround since coming back into this outfit.
Yeah, you're on my line of thinking, Shorty. I've been saying this for weeks. I said he's the look. If you talk about what do they call him? They call him you got your captain, and then you got your spiritual leader. He's that. And Quaynor's been down this year, and so Noble's picked up that slack. And Oleg Markov hasn't been that great either, to be honest, when he's been in the team. So, it's really, really good to see, and I was pleased for the young man and the old bloke, the old-time waltzer again in the middle, Pendlebury. He just keeps getting it. He doesn't get any faster. He's never been fast, but he just keeps finding a way to get the footy and set things up. So, look, you probably think now, from Adelaide's point of view, it's really, really tough. I mean, they're back there with St Kilda now at 3-6 and a draw. St Kilda at 3-7. It's going to be hard work for them. I think we're now down to a dozen who can actually make the 8, Shorty. So, and again, we're getting a few wobbles with the doggies, Hey, you're guilty.
We'll get to them in a sec. Just want to finish up on this game, and it came at a cost for Collingwood. Hoskin, Elliott, hamstring, McInnes, concussion. They've got a very close watch on DeGoey, had landed from a high, and hit his head. So they'll have an update on him today. They've got McCreary, Mitchell a chance, Meyer check a chance to possibly come back next week.
Yeah, they do. Look, I can read the playbook here with De Goey because they tended his hip on the boundary line, Marty.
Mm-hmm.
Tended his hip.
The Wally hip.
So he had a bit of a hip problem. He's okay. He's ready to go back out there. So read the playbook on that one, that's for sure. Yeah, again, but this is a team, and we talk about it often. You know, injuries are going to play a huge part in every team if you haven't got your best soldiers out there. But this is a one man down, another man up club. They don't, you know, they've still got the polish. They've still got Pendlebury, Dacos, De Goey, so on and so forth. They've got all of the tricks, more down back, etc. So they can withstand that, and they're going to need to. They're going to need to. And dare I say it again, Shorty, people who want to eradicate the draw, I think there's a couple of clubs up there currently at the moment in third and fourth are pretty happy that the draw counts because it might be very, very vital at the end of the season. Not only for Collingwood and Messenger to make the 8 now, but where they finish in the 8. That half a game each could be very, very vital for both.
Yeah, spot on. Let's get to the next fixture. The Western Bulldogs, 8-22-70, defeated the GWS Giants, 6-7-43, a 27-point victory. If the Doggies had taken their kicking boots, this could have been a 70 or 80-point shellacking. They completely dominated this fixture, Brad. And it was a reminder that the Dogs' best football can match it with some pretty good sides. They would really be very impressive. And one guy that's really up the ante over the last few weeks with, of course, No Liberatore, they've moved the Tommy Sauce man, Ed Richards, into the middle of the ground. He's been outstanding the last fortnight.
Yeah, he has, and that's what I say. And look, there's been a lot of Death Riders on Bevo, and I hope they're back in their box for the time being, that's for sure. Because, look, there's one thing you can do, boys, and same with Michael Voss last year, you can trade your way out. I mean, that's play your way out and win. And I'm with you, Shorty. Look, I am biased. I'm first to admit, I'll put it on the table. But I think that they can win against any team that they go. And I'm really looking forward to the next month. Now, they might come up short in a couple of games. They've got Sydney, Collingwood, Brisbane and Fremantle all at Marvel. That's their next 4. Now, we're taking it 1 week at a time, and that's the way you should take it. But if they can get 2 of those 4, Marty, that puts them in reasonable stead to go into the back end of the season. So all I'm saying is I've always maintained he's always had a handle on that. They had a change of spirit and a change of philosophy. The players, that is. When you change things, Shorty, sometimes it takes a little bit of getting used to. They've changed personnel. They've changed a bit of style. And it takes now they've all got their heads around it, and that was a terrific effort last night. And look, at least they did have a little bit of an out, and that was the fact that it was a bit wet and slippery. So there wasn't too many that were kicking handy goals or kicking them out of their backside sort of thing. But geez, you got to worry about the GWS Giants, Marty. I mean, they've just lost their
4 out
mojo.
of 5.
Gee, you know, they are a little bit of a worry. Got injury problems with Kelly and Ash out. Whitfield can't get near. There's a few of them. Toby Green got 3 in the end, Shorty, but you wouldn't think so. You know what I mean? He kicked the first one, and then as the game wore on, he was losing confidence. He was passing off to Riccardi and others in worse positions than him. He wasn't taking the shots. So, yeah, they've got a few issues, I think, there, the GWS Giants.
Another one out of that game too. Jones has done a hamstring there for GWS. Right, we better clear some texts up. Obviously, Brisbane way too good for Richmond. Hi, boys. A good friend of mine who is an avid Dockers fan told me that Jai Amos's nickname is Nev. Yes, Nev Amis. Judging on his kicking for goal in recent times, I think Fremantle supporters should drop his nickname, just as they have seemed to have dropped the flag mantle name for the team after they win a few games. That's from Rusty Gates. Well, you've already spoken about that.
Yeah, Usyk's gone 95-94 up, boys, end of the 10th. So this has swung right around this fight. Usyk is all of a sudden, he's been able to, the big Gypsy King was leaning all over him and sapping his energy, but he's been able to push him off with some, he's got some kryptonite there, and he's been allowed to land a few bombs, so keep an eye on that.
So what round we in now?
In 11.
That's extraordinary, Brad. When we spoke to you, I've been keeping an eye on the live in the run, betting on the bout. I think Fury was into around $1.07 or $8 when we spoke to you at the start of this interview. He's now right out the door, and the other fella's into 135. So that's a big flip around within a bout.
Huge. Well, he's landing the bombs. He's trying to throw these big left-handers, Marty. Usyk's, he's a strong boy. There's no doubt about that. But Fury's the same size as Aaron Sandilands. So you punch it uphill. You know, it's not easy, and that's his strength. But he's got to come back to that. His uppercuts have been good, but he's not moving as well as he was earlier in the. It's a scrappy one, this one. But you're right. Now where were we, Marty? Just back on Jai Amos. He's got to get a better routine. It's almost comical, his routine. What he's doing is. He's having a real stutter, a real relax, almost like a walk in the park sort of thing. And what he's doing is leaning back. And when he leans back, his hips open up. So he's either tugging the ball one way to the right or he's splaying it to the left. He's got to get on top of that. Get your head over the ball and get some momentum through it.
Lisa of Allenbrook, as she does every Sunday morning. A very good morning, Lisa. Well done to the Dogs, Brad. Team's still struggling in front of goals. Lots of points scored in most games. Rankin did run too far. Umpire made the right decision. Sydney continue to dominate, and with their midfield kicking over 9 goals in their fast style of play, they're going to be hard to beat. 2 games clear on top. They are in great position to be able to rest up some players in the second half of the season. Dockers and Saints haven't been the most reliable of teams, and with 2 defensive sides going head-to-head, it was always going to be a grind. Can't see where the Saints are going, and they've gone backwards since last season. Defensive style of game, Freo are playing. Can't see them making finals, and their poor kicking for goal continues. Nothing's changed in years, and J-Lo says accuracy woes are an easy fix. Good luck. I think Jay Amos has lost his confidence from last season, 2-5 last night, and to me he looks like he's putting himself under a lot of pressure and not letting himself enjoy the game. Richmond fans, hang in there. Us Eagle fans feel your pain. Guys, apologise for the lengthy text. Take care. Everyone have a fabulous day and week. All the best to the Eagles. That's from Lisa.
Better put that lady on the payroll.
I think she summed it up pretty well.
Yeah, she did. You're right. There was a lot of things that are right about that, and look. Both Fremantle and it was like watching twins. It was like Arnold Schwarzenegger and
Danny DeVito.
Yeah, the tall and the short. They both play the same, so you were going to get much in this. But I'm worried about it. St Kilda fans are up. When you make the 8 the year before and you fall out of it, as Fremantle did last year, unfortunately. Yeah. You got to take stock. Something's not right, and it can't always be one or the other's blame. It's a combination of both, and they're not doing it well at the moment.
We're a Carlton at. I know Sydney are very, very good, but we're a Carlton at.
Yeah, look, they're probably still in handy stead. They've got quite a few to come back, but this is what John Longmire does. He breaks you down. He takes you to new areas, and what I talk about that is Walsh. He's been sensational since he came back, Shorty. But he did exactly what he did the week before. That young Dawson, he's a ripper. James Jordan, mixed up with the Adelaide. He gives him jobs and whatever. And he just wore him like a glove, and it hurt him, and you could see it. He was frustrated, and he couldn't get his hands on the ball, and the Carlton midfielder are a little bit one way. They've got a 2-way run, and as I said, we say it all the time. I say it every week. He's the best in the business, John Longmire, again, because he's a systems man, and again, it's all about personnel. Parker's going to be out for another couple of weeks after a brutal bump in the reserves. He's just rewarding the blokes who are doing the job for him right now, and they're very, very healthy right at the minute, and he knows how to take away the strengths of the opposition and play his own team strengths, and Heaney and boy Warner, he's going well. Wow. He's going really well. If Heaney's in front in the Brownlow, well, Warner might be right up his ginger.
Bradley, I've spoken to Marty at length about this. Good. If I was a coach of any side, good, bad or otherwise, there's room still in the game for a high-quality tagger, or at least a man that can check the best player on the opposition really tight. And look, it's not going to work every time, but I tell you what, if you can make life tough for the opposition's best ball winner that is damaging you more often than not when they get it, you've got to at least try it. There's so many sides now that don't even try. No. Most weekends you sit and watch these guys rack up 36, 38, 40, 42, and you're going, how about somebody go and stand on their shoulder, grab their jumper for a little while, just make it tough for 10 minutes. And while you're doing that, you're wearing them out as well. Bradley, if I was coaching any side right now, a player like Ryan Crowley would still be getting picked for me every week, making it tough for the opposition.
Yeah, look, I think it's a fairly simple philosophy because they've all got their team strategies and structures, defences, all of that sort of stuff. You're right, Shorty. I reckon there's three. You pick out three. You pick out the three most dangerous opposition, and you try and negate their strengths at the same time using that man. Now, Ralphy did it the week before. You know, he was terrific, wasn't he, Marty? He kicked 3 goals but he also had a job to be a defensive forward. You know, and he got it done. Have a look at Jordan Clark last week in Perth.
Yep.
Who took him? The bloke took him out. You know, no such thing last night, Your Honour. He was nearly best of field, I thought, Jordan Clark, because all of a sudden he was allowed to bounce and run off the back flankers, you know, and do that. I agree with you. It's not hard work. It's not hard to do that.
We've got a fight update and then a Sunday saviour.
Yes. Well, he usually continues to land these big lefts. So the crowd, it's closed out round 11. So we must be getting into the last now, boys. So we'll keep an eye on that one. So I reckon he's in front. And Shorty, what's the betting saying right now? I reckon he'll be getting in even tighter than the $1.30 odd that you said a minute ago, I would have thought.
It's actually closed as we speak. So I can't help you there at the moment, Bradley. They've just shut that down. But, he was certainly falling in his favour last we saw.
This gives me a good confidence, Marty, because Sale race 1, number 2, Coffin Dodger. That might be Tyson Fury today, so he might survive, but he might lose the fight. $1.75 to kick us off there. Then we're going to go to Parks. I don't like some of these heavy tracks and all-weather tracks, Marty. So I'm going to Parks race 3, number 2, Quinky Deal, $3.70. And Parks race 8, number 13, Cruising the Field. Cruising as in danger, the field, $2.10. So Sale race 1, number 2, Coffin Dodger, $1.75. Parks race 3, number 2, Quinky Deal, $3.70. And Parks race 8, number 13, Cruising the Field, $2.10. It's $13.60 for me and Ginger. We got it last week, Ginger.
Yes, well done.
Champion. Happy Mother's Day, Ginger.
What about for Retrovision on loans 1, 2, 3?
Going out Stanley and Belmorts, isn't he? And out at Allenbrook, where Lisa's from, I think that store's.
Can't get in there.
Backside.
No,
I know.
full.
It's unbelievable.
Yep.
And the nude nut, if you're having a bit of trouble financially, let's face it, it's pretty tough times at the moment. The budget wasn't much help the other night. Get on with it. 1-800-100-100. He can do things the banks can't, and he's an absolute champion. Don't worry about that, boys. Have a great day. And by the way, today, I'm thinking Essendon, Port Adelaide and Melbourne will be winning. Shorty and I'll be on half an hour before each game to try and tip you into a bit of a novelty winner.
Thanks, Bradley.
See you, boys.
Sunday morning, we will do the talking on The Aftermath with Marty Young and David Shortte on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Simon Hill coming up next, but we need a golf update, Shorty.
Yeah, so we've got Morikawa and Schauffele at the head of the leaders board at 15 under. Then Thegala at 14 under. Lowry, the Irishman, 13 under. And Bryson DeChambeau from the Live Tour is only 2 behind the hard-hitting American. So it's very, very tight at the top end of proceedings. Morikawa and Schauffele at the 15 under, Thegala 14 under, and Lowry and DeChambeau just 2 shots behind. It's going to be a hell of a day for all of the action across there in the US. And, of course, they lost a bit of time for fog, so it's still operating as we speak.
Very good morning to Simon Hill.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Yeah, we're well. It's all about the A-League. Let's start off there. We know who's in the grand final now.
Yeah, we do. It's going to be Central Coast Mariners against Melbourne Victory. Melbourne Victory doing it in extra time against Wellington Phoenix. 2 late goals in the second leg. They were goalless after the first leg, of course. Adama Traore with an absolute trace of bullets, and then Oscar Zavada giving us great drama with an equaliser in the 99th minute, the 9th minute of added time. So they went into extra time, and Chris Economides got the winning goal. So disappointment for Wellington in front of a brilliant crowd. 33,000 were in Wellington to watch that one. So disappointing for them because they've had a great season. They finished second, only missed out on the premiership by a slim margin. But that's finals football. And similarly on the Central Coast last night, very tight game between Central Coast and Sydney, a sellout crowd as well, 20,000 there. And the Mariners spent almost the entire night in their own half trying to keep Sydney out, who were brilliant, it must be said, last night. But they just couldn't find that equaliser that they needed. The Mariners, of course, won the first leg by 2-1. A couple of big controversial moments. Robert Mack had a goal ruled out. It looked as though the ball was over the line. Eventually, VAR decided that Fabio Gomez was offside and impeding an opponent, which I'm not 100% sure I agree with, to be honest, but there you go. Max Ballard appeared to have handled the ball inside the area. That wasn't given either. So it was all very tense and very tight in Gosford. But at the end of it all, the Mariners will host the grand final in Gosford next week against Victory, and they're one game away from this incredible treble after already winning the Premiership and the AFC Cup.
Simon, the run of form that Central Coast are in right now, if they can go on and take out this A-League title, it would have to put them up there with one of the, I guess, more successful and spectacular achievements we've seen in a pretty significant period of time, and yet it's been done with a minimum of fuss, I guess it's fair to say, without sort of some of the fanfare of teams from years gone by.
Well, that's where the game's at, unfortunately, at the moment. It's very hard for football in this country, domestic football anyway, to make headlines. Quite why that is, you'd have to ask the main media outlets. I suspect that given that a certain proprietor owns between 65 and 70% of the mainstream media, and his investments are in other codes of football, might have an awful lot to do with it. But what you said really is an understatement. If the Mariners win the grand final next week, they'll be the greatest domestic club side of all time. There's no doubt about that. You know, if you win 2 trophies domestically, which is pretty much all you can do, all right, there's the Australia Cup as well, but win the AFC Cup too. You know, to be successful on the regional stage when you've travelled over 100,000 kilometres and still keeping the candle burning back home as well is absolutely extraordinary, particularly for a club on such small resources. So, yeah, it's one of the greatest stories in history in our code of sport, and I would suggest in any of the others as well, because obviously they don't have that Asian competition.
They did make headlines for all the wrong reasons, though. Has a 4th A-League player been charged over these alleged corruption charges, Simon?
Well, not yet, but that's because that particular player is out of the state at the moment, New South Wales. So obviously they are waiting for that player to return to his home state, and then I'm pretty sure that, you know, charges will be laid. Horrific scenes this week, you know, with those arrests, and at the very time when we should be focusing on the finals and you know what's happening on the park, we have to deal with that. It's very frustrating as a coach. We seem to take 1 step forward and 2 steps back sometimes, but this is just sheer stupidity from these players involved, and obviously we've got to stress they are allegations at the moment, innocent until proven guilty and all that. But it appears that the police have got a fair bit of evidence, judging by the scenes that we saw 48 hours ago.
It's incredible that you would risk what you've worked for an entire career for a relatively small sum of money. It's very difficult to get your head around, particularly given, as you're well aware, Simon, how much hard work and how many sacrifices a lot of these players have made to get themselves into a position where they can actually earn a really nice living out of the sport. To risk it all for a pittance in comparison to what they're earning just seems crazy. But anyway, we'll park that there. It's the big night. No doubt excitement levels are very big for City fans like your good self going into the final night of the Premier League action. It all happens 11 o'clock tonight, our time across here, and you need to have a few sets of eyeballs to keep up with everything that's going on.
Well, I don't, because I'll be watching Man City against West Ham, and if City win, it doesn't matter what happens elsewhere. Obviously the title race is down to one afternoon, basically, in the UK, and 2 clubs, Manchester City at top over Arsenal, who are in second, and if City win, they will be champions for the 4th year in a row, which is a feat that nobody has ever achieved in the history of English football. So that's the magnitude of today's game against West Ham. City are so good at home, obviously 43 matches unbeaten there, 16 Premier League games unbeaten against West Ham. They've won 13 of those, drawn the other 3. It's difficult to see West Ham going to the Etihad and denying City the title. It is David Moyes' final game in charge, so you never know. And if there is any slip-up by City, then you can be sure that Arsenal will take advantage. They're at home as well to Everton. And even though Everton have been in better form of late, they've taken quite a few points since the start of April. Arsenal are so strong this season. So you would imagine Arsenal will get the job done. But I think, and obviously I hope, it's all going to be in vain.
Just having a look, your keeper's out, is he? Edison, he's got a fractured eye socket, and De Bruyne is in doubt as well. De Bruyne?
Yeah. Well, look, Edison's absence is probably softened by the fact that Stefan Ortega, who came on when he suffered that injury against Tottenham during the week, performed so well. He made 3 outstanding saves, particularly one from Son Heung-min, who was clean through on a one-on-one. So I don't think, City lose too much there with respect to Edison, who's a terrific goalkeeper. De Bruyne might be a bigger loss if he can't play. Obviously, he's the main creative outlets, and has an almost telepathic understanding with Erling Haaland. So that could be a bit of an issue for City, but they've got such strength in depth. You can play Bernardo Silva in De Bruyne's role. You can play Phil Foden. You can bring in Jack Grealish. It's an embarrassment of riches, really. So, I'd like him to play, but if he can't, they should be able to deal with it.
And Simon, at the other end of proceedings, it appears that Sheffield United, Burnley and Luton Town, regardless of results, will be the trio that find themselves dropping the divvy. That, I guess the interesting thing with that happening is who are the 3 sides looking most likely to come up into the Premier League, and do you see them having the potential to make a splash next season?
Well, we know the identity of 2 of those clubs, Leicester and Ipswich. Obviously, Leicester, very familiar competitors in the top flight. We were surprised perhaps to see them relegated last season. So they bounced straight back up. They could certainly be competitive, there's no doubt about that. Ipswich have won back-to-back promotions, a terrific achievement. They've got a very smart young manager in Kieran McKenna, who's done a brilliant job in getting them promoted. A couple of Aussies in their team as well, by the way, Massimo Luongo and Cameron Burgess. Burgess, who played at the Asian Cup for the Socceroos. So it'd be good to see them, playing Premier League football as well. Harry Sutter the same with Leicester. And the third and final promotion spot will be one of either Southampton or Leeds, 2 of the other clubs that were relegated last season. So, we're starting to see develop something that perhaps is not overly healthy for English football. The 3 clubs who are going down this season, Luton Town, barring a miracle today, Sheffield United and Burnley, were the 3 clubs that were promoted last season. And whoever gets promoted between Southampton and Leeds, it'll be 2 of the 3 clubs that were relegated last year that will bounce straight back up. And that is the financial strength of the Premier League and those parachute payments that, make it a little bit more easier for clubs to bounce back.
Simon, always great to chat the World Game with you every Sunday morning as we do. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks, guys. All the best.
He's a ripper. Simon Hill about to catch up now. Our very special guest, Craig Williams.
2 lengths away, 3rd Chain of Lightning. I Wish I Win, 4th on the inside of Wee Nessie. Going forwards, Espiona further back too. Just in behind those is Bella Nipotina. 300 metres left to run. Marzu, the leader. Chain of Lightning on the inside and bursting through now is I Wish I Win. Down the outside is Espiona. Also Bella Nipotina and Private Eye down the outside. I Wish I Win, Bella Nipotina. I Wish I Win, Bella Nipotina. They hit the line. Oh, it's a bobbing photo. I Wish I Win or Bella Nipotina.
It was a bobbing photo, but on the outside, Bella Nipotina gets up, wins the Doomben 10,000. Craig Williams is our special guest who rode Bella Nipotina. Good morning, Craig. Well done.
Morning, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, well done to you, Craig. Group 1, we're number 77, if you don't mind. They are starting to rack up now, and this is one that I tell you what, it was almost timing to exact perfection. You landed just in the right time with Bella Nipotina there yesterday. Talk us through how you were feeling in the run.
It was a bit different than the pre-race plans. I did listen to call then, and I actually remembered my wife telling me last night, like, can't you win by half a length? It's like, we don't like waiting for the photo, she said. So that was, I got in trouble for not winning by so enough last night. So that's handy. But it was, look, she's an amazing horse. You guys got to see her over there in the Quokka. It's a great initiative by Perth Racing to have that type of prize money, the awareness, the slot holding part of it, and you got her over there. So, and of course, the horse who I just beat in the race last year was a horse that won your two Quokkas. So it's been a good form reference. She's been really well managed, Bella Nipotina. She's an amazing horse, and she loves when she gets rain-affected ground or, ground that has a bit of softness in it, and that's what she got yesterday as well.
You said it didn't go to plan early. She sort of just walked out of the barriers and you found yourself last, and then you found yourself on the back of the favourite I Wish I Win. Take us from there how the race unfolded, because I Wish I Win went through the inside and you went to the outside.
Well, the plan, it was advantageous to walk the track and see how the track plays, and I think the results showed on the day that there were certain parts of the track that you'd like to be in, especially in the home straight. And the plan was from barrier 3 that we would be probably running second, and the leader would come across us and keep us away from that inside part of the track. So that was our plan. It looked simple and smooth, and she had different ideas. And she's always a horse that can dwell a bit, and she did badly yesterday. And then it wasn't too difficult. I had the favourite. I just had to get on the back of, and James was working the whole race about staying away from the inside. So I had the right horse, the right jockey to follow, who was trying to ride the track pattern. But I felt halfway around that I was actually going better than he was, and I really believe in him. We beat him home last time we met on heavy ground in the TJ in Sydney, and so I didn't think I could ride her just to go and ride her to run well after what happened. I thought I could still ride her to win the race. So I had the right horse and got the right conditions, and I was able to manoeuvre away from the inside, give her clear running, and luckily she's as good as what she is and determined to win, and she got me over the finishing line first.
She's put together an excellent record, this 6-year-old mare. $10 million in prize money on the way through, Craig, and we've spoke about her earlier on the program today. Just the ability to travel all over the country and perform either at her best or somewhere near it. There's so many horses when they get away from home, there's different stabling, different feeds, different tracks, different people potentially handling them. It's a lot for a horse to take on board, but she seems like a really durable, tough galloper that's happy to sort of front up anywhere and get the job done.
Yeah, everything you said is just so true. Regardless of the quality of horse, the level they get to, they are challenges, and I guess that just shows you the constitution she has, but also the management that Kieran Maher and all his team around have with her as well, because you can't do it without the product, and she's the product, but you don't get the best out of the product unless you're finding the best tools around it. So, and that's what they've been able to do. And it wasn't until after the race when Kieran was explaining Bella's recent situation after flying back from Perth, that when she did turn up to Brisbane, she wasn't in as happy an order as where they would like her to be. And a fellow trainer in Tony Golden, who's the leading trainer up here, and his staff, obviously Kieran made mention and praised them for their support, their help, and their advice, and which got her to the victory yesterday. So there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle which got the result for us yesterday.
Outstanding. It is nice to hear too, in a very competitive environment that we work in horse racing, that the other fellow trainers care enough about the animals to help give some hints and get the horses back on top of their game. What's next for Bella Nipotina, Craig?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure she had a big pat, cuddle and kisses this morning and plenty of feed, and I think she goes off to the beach, which I'm in Brisbane now. You're from Perth. You guys are in Perth, so you don't know what it's like being in cold weather, but I left Melbourne and I'm up here in a T-shirt. Like, it's pretty cool. but it's not that warm back in the south. So I'm pretty sure she's enjoying yesterday. She did, feel like she cantered back, and I've been part of her for the last 3 years and got a pretty good hand on her, but I was very happy the way that she came back through the run, and she come back in the mounting yard unsaddled, and so it looks like she's come through the race really well, and most importantly, that's the case for the next week, and there's obviously a couple of options for her, but that's all clearly up to Kieran Maher, the trainer and the owners to decide, and I'm just looking forward to riding her again.
Okay, how about yourself? Do you stay up in Brisbane for the Group 1, the Doomben Cup next week, or do you come back to Melbourne and fly back up again?
Yeah, it's a bit rude, isn't it? My family and wife's at home, and every time I just had FaceTime, it's like a bit embarrassing that you open up the curtains and there's no clouds, no rain, and the sun's shining, and you're wearing a T-shirt. It's like, they're in the raincoats, and my son went off to tennis this morning, and he had to go get his jacket before he had to go out and warm up to play tennis. So it's pretty good, and it's a carnival, and I'm here for 2 weeks. I'm actually riding today at the Sunshine Coast, and then Wednesday Ipswich, and then back up to Doomben, and so I'm basing myself up here for 2 weeks, and then I've got a couple of commitments back in Melbourne from the 2nd of June, and then the King's birthday on the 10th, and then I'll just commute back up for the Saturdays.
Craig, tell us a little bit about that. So you're away from home for a couple of weeks. How do you look after yourself like you would as if you were at home? So as a jockey, no doubt, there are challenges in regards to looking after your weight. What do you do with, I'm sure you're in a routine when you're in Melbourne with track work, riding and those sorts of things. How do you adjust really quickly, and where do you stay while you're away in somewhere like Queensland? Do you just go to a hotel and stay there and sort of live in a really nice spot like that, or do you go and stay with friends? How do you go about it?
Well, you are right. The routine's a bit different, but I'm very good with routine, and so I can still work out and do all my core workouts and stretches as long as you've got a nice floor or a yoga mat, so it's fine. I don't have my mechanical horse here, so I don't have that to rely on. But when I move down to the Gold Coast tonight, a good friend of mine's Michael Carl. He's got a mechanical horse, and his son Harry is really keen to be an apprentice jockey, so I'll work out with him in the morning before school and after school, so it gives him something to do, and also for myself. Riding work's fine. Everyone's happy for people to ride work to help them with their workload, so I'll get plenty of some track work in, and then I'm just doing 2, maybe 3 meetings a week, so it's pretty cut back down compared to Melbourne. So it's a bit of a break as well in regards to the racing workload. And then in regards to where I stay, I've got a really good friend who's just bought a 3-bedroom place in Broadbeach, so I'll be down in the Gold Coast. But when it comes to the weekend, then usually I like to head up rather than having to drive 2 hours or an hour or something on race day. So usually I'll drive up to Brisbane and stay a night in a hotel and not far away from the racetrack for race day.
Excellent.
So just work it out now, because the Sunshine Coast is the opposite end to the Gold Coast. I stayed in Brisbane tonight, and if that's the case next week, I'll be doing the same thing, because otherwise it makes it an hour and 20 or 2 hours and 20 minute drive. So I try to mitigate those on long drives on race day.
Yeah, so just in case you run into a traffic jam. That's a great insight to how it all operates, the change-up. Thank you for that, Craig. And speaking of insights, you've been incredible along with your wife in recent times in helping to raise awareness in regards to the situation in the Ukraine. You've been incredibly brave to head across there and deliver trauma and survival kits, and I believe you're heading back across there again. Many of our listeners who've backed your horses on the way through, if they've had a bit of joy, can help donate to this wonderful cause. Tell us a little bit about how that's all going and where people can go to help to donate.
All right. So obviously the Russian invasion started 2 years and 4 months ago, and my wife Lisa is Ukrainian, so we have family over there. So we are connected. There's a lot of bad things that happen, that people want to contribute and support to domestically at home and also abroad. So this is once we saw the atrocities and the raping, the torture of the innocent civilians, then we just thought we had to do something, and very fortunate that over 15,000 kilometres away here in Australia, primarily from the thoroughbred racing industry, but people in the street in general are being very supportive and contributing to our causes and efforts. So we just go over there and we take over essential supplies, which is life-saving trauma kits, which contributes to saving people's lives in Ukraine. So with our group, which is made up of myself, my wife, and Tim Radburn, who we met when we started this project, it's amazing. It's a cause that every single dollar goes to buying these trauma kits and essential supplies, just contributing to saving lives over there. And we've been there 8 times, and we physically go and deliver it because we know it goes from A to B, and it's not lost on the Ukrainian people. We reached out to them the other day and said, what do you guys need? And they give us their wish list, and then we work out what we can get our hands on and take over, or we can secure in Poland, so it's less logistics. So we're going again when my riding commitments finish in June, and again going into Kiev and seeing that. But when you started that intro, you say we're brave, but the people that motivate and inspire us are actually the Ukrainian people. What they're dealing with every day is just horrific, and I realise how lucky and grateful that I am to be born and living in Australia. We are so fortunate here. We live in a democracy, first of all. No one's invading, and we're talking about yesterday. I contributed in my profession, and I'm a sports person, and we're so lucky. We have a choice of what we do, but if the Ukrainian people don't win protecting themselves, their sovereign territory, international laws and norms, they don't even exist anymore. So they're in a really horrific situation, and it's fantastic that people in Australia really give a damn about their fight for survival.
Craig, thanks for that. We've got to get to news. All the best.
Yeah, so if they go to craigwilliamsjockey.com.au and the website's there, guys. And all I ask is if you can give me your email address, because we want to keep you posted about what you're contributing to, and we value your support.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you.